Let's go to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Thanks to Death Wish Coffee. And Schefter, we have breaking news in the NFL, don't we?
Well, we have a trade here. The Panthers are trading for former Bears linebacker Jared Allen. They're trading a conditional draft pick. Jared Allen is en route to Charlotte right now to take a physical. The Panthers lost pass rusher Charles Johnson to a hamstring injury, so they got somebody else to plug in there right now, and they get another defensive player to make some plays for them.
A week after being blanked by the Seahawks, are the Bears kind of throwing up the white flag?
Look, they're 0-3 right now. They don't have great hopes. I was surprised to see last week ESPN's Power Football Index gave the Chicago Bears a 27% chance, the highest percent chance of any team in the league, of getting the number one pick in the April draft. The draft's in Chicago. There's a real possibility that the Bears will have a top 5 pick in that particular draft. If they're a top 5 pick, they can get a quarterback of their future. They can move on from Jaden Cutler. So I don't think that would surprise a lot of people.
Adam Schefter, thanks to Death Wish Coffee, Armin and Levac 104.5, the team. Schefter, the Jets have an injury to Willie Colon. Do we know how extensive this injury is?
Hey, it's a week-to-week kind of deal with him, and obviously if they can't play him in London against the Miami Dolphins, they move on, plug in somebody else. But I don't sound overly concerned right now, and it's just part of the game.
When you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, he throws 3 picks in this game. How short is his leash with the Jets?
I don't think it's particularly short right now. I think that they were pretty happy with him in the first 2 games, and it's interesting that question comes up now, but after they beat the Colts in Indianapolis in the second game of the season, nobody was talking about any kind of leash at all for Ryan Fitzpatrick. But that's what you get with him. I mean, he's been a part-time starter, usual backup-type quarterback. He's had a very successful career. He's played well, but you're not going to get an Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady-like performance from Ryan Fitzpatrick. You get games like the one he had yesterday, weren't helped by turnovers, but the fact of the matter is he's done a solid job through 3 games, and I think the Jets would like to continue on in that regard.
ESPN's Adam Schefter, thanks to Death Wish Coffee. Adam, Jets tight end coach Jimmy Johnson, his son allegedly took shots at Gino and Cromartie on Twitter. Should we expect any further fallout on this? He has apologized.
Repeat the question, Armin.
So the tight end's son, are you familiar with the story that Jimmy Johnson, the tight ends coach of the Jets, his son?
Oh, I saw something about it, but I honestly hadn't read up on it, so I don't know too much about that. But look, social media, Twitter, it can be a dangerous thing, and you got to be smart, particularly if you are have someone who works for an organization. You have to respect their right and their privacy and their ability to do that job, and I think sometimes people don't realize the power of the words, and that everyone's watching everything that everyone says at all times in the day and age that we live in. So anybody that's involved in the sport, has a connection to the sport, always has to be very careful about that kind of thing.
Schefter, I saw you tweet out that Chris Cooley is going to work out for the Giants. How real is it that he's going to be in there?
Real enough that they're bringing him in for a workout. I think that they certainly could use some help at the position. They've always been looking for help, and the fact that they've called to the second team to bring him in, the Arizona Cardinals did the same thing earlier in the year, so you never know how these things work out.
Is this spell the end for Larry Donnell and his dropsies?
Oh, no. Let's see if they sign Chris Cooley. Let's see what kind of shape he's in. Let's see that he can make a... I mean, that's a long ways away from happening. I think teams are always looking for depth, but let's not get carried away just yet.
Victor Cruz says he's going to play this weekend, Adam. What are you hearing as far as expectations for him?
Well, again, I think that Tom Coughlin was a little bit more guarded. Victor Cruz fully expects to play on Sunday against Buffalo. Tom Coughlin wants to see him go through a full week. We've heard Victor Cruz is going to be able to play in the preseason, except for the calf injury to go along with the knee injury that he was bouncing back from. I think they want to see him get through the week of practice. They want to see that he's looking right and well. And I think that everybody's confident that he's going to play Sunday. No person more so than Victor Cruz right now. But the fact of the matter is they do want to see that. And I think if he gets through that, you have to be careful. Again, he's coming back from that knee injury over a year ago, had the calf injury. You can't rush these things. He's not going to play every down of every play. I would think that he'll play part-time. My guess would be if he's out there on Sunday, 20 or so plays, because you can't risk putting him out there for an extended period and have him aggravating some type of muscle strain. That's the worst thing that you could do. I think teams are very smart with the way they handle these players usually, and I think it would be no different with Victor Cruz.
Schefter, when you look at the Bills game this weekend, Tyrod Taylor, how much has he developed in 3 weeks?
Well, again, this being a reactionary league, I think people were asking last week, if that were really the case. I think the people who have watched him all year long have seen that he's represented an upgrade at the position. He makes plays with his arms, his legs. He looks strong. He's been pretty smart with the football. other than the game against New England last week. They looked great in week 1. They looked horrible in week 2. They looked great in week 3. Now, if you're the Buffalo Bills, you want some consistency. But I think, even from his standpoint, he's given them hope that they have the right guy, which is a good thing.
Adam Schefter thinks of Death Wish Coffee. Adam, the way that the Eagles, along with Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles, beat the Jets this weekend, they fit in that Eagles offense. At this point, do they fit better than DeMarco Murray does?
Well, there's some people that say that. Again, don't forget that they paid DeMarco Murray an awful lot of money.
Yep.
And you can't rush to conclusions after 2 games when an entire offense was struggling and they're playing from behind and they're not getting things done. Ryan Matthews certainly has some burst and some step, and he's got skills, and they should be utilizing them. To say that he's automatically a better fit than DeMarco Murray after 1 game, I think is a bit premature, a bit of an overreaction, but I think there's a role for both, and that's how they envisioned it when they brought both backs to Philadelphia.
Adam, I overreact to everything. I don't know if you figured that out yet.
Well, that's okay, and I'm here to set you guys straight. That's all. That's
I appreciate it. We the voice of reason, Adam
Every
Schefter.
Monday at 4:45. That's right.
Kiko Alonso, linebacker for the Eagles. He's got those 3 words attached to his name nobody likes. Dr. James Andrews. What are you hearing?
Well, he's got the other 3 letters, ACL, that nobody really likes, and he's got at the very least a small tear in that ACL. He missed yesterday. He's down in Florida visiting with Dr. Andrews today. And so we'll see how that shakes out and plays out. I think that they're going to determine whether or not he needs surgery, how long he'll be out of action. But, if you're the Eagles, you're not happy that he's going through, and you want to see that he's okay and he gets handled in the right way moving forward.
On a related note, Kiko Alonso traded for LaShawn McCoy to Buffalo. That hamstring, he says, is still holding him back. Should we expect the Bills to continue to be cautious with him?
Well, I think that's always going to be the case. I mean, you never want to rush hamstrings. Hamstrings are very sensitive. Running back, skill position players, we've seen it happen again. And, that's why you bring it the Victor Cruz situation, not a hamstring, but any kind of muscle with a skill position player where they're sprinting and running. You always want to monitor that and be very careful.
All right, Adam, I have to ask you, is Pittsburgh ready for the Michael Vick era as a Steeler? Let's go, right? It's exciting.
The Michael Vick experience, I think the Steelers are hoping is a little bit different than other experiences in that they wanted to hold on to the football. If you go back over his last 32 games, he's had 42 turnovers. They can't afford to have that in Pittsburgh. You want the good Michael Vick. You don't want the turnovers that come along with it. He doesn't have to win the games there by himself. He's got Le'Veon Bell. He's got Antonio Brown. He's got Heath Miller. He's got other players that can make plays. He's got to let them do it, but they've got to be smart about controlling the football there.
ESPN's Adam Schefter with Armin and Levac. Adam, any follow-up to the story of Cam Newton says that he heard NFL referee Ed Hockley say, Cam, you're not old enough to get that call on a possible personal foul. The NFL has said that that's not accurate, that Hockley says he did not say that. Any development on that story?
It's a situation where the NFLRA, which is the NFL Referees Association, just released a release saying that they stand behind Ed Hockley. Yeah, again, it's a case of he said. Cam Newton says that Ed Hockley told him that he's too young to get a call like that. Cam Newton seemed to stop in his tracks and couldn't believe what he said, but the NFL questioned Ed Hockley about it. He denied it to them very strongly and said he didn't say that, and so it's a question of who you believe, and everybody gets to make their own decision there.
Shefty, when you look at the extra points, with the changes they've made, did the NFL get what they wanted out of those changes?
Well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, the numbers, to me, are rather startling when you look at them. I mean, if you go this year and you take a look, there have already been 14 missed extra points this season. There were 8 all of last season. Okay, we're not even through week 3 yet. Okay, and they're double the number of missed extra points. So, the NFL introduced that to have a little less predictability. I think that's exactly what it wanted. It's exactly what it achieved. Now, I think the part that you feel bad about is you have to look at some of the consequences of this, and I think it'd be unfortunate when we have a game in November, December, and cold and snow and ice and whatever weather it is that gets that way that time of the year. Some teams are going to miss an extra point. It's going to cost this team a game. You want these guys out there fighting, battling for 60 minutes, only to see a game decided by an extra point. If that's what you want, then yeah, it's a great rule. If not, then maybe they could take a look at seeing if it's worth keeping around for next year and beyond.
ESPN's Adam Schefter thinks of Death Wish Coffee every Monday at 4:45. Best of Shefty today at 6 o'clock. Thanks to Death Wish Coffee. Go to deathwishcoffee.com/vote to help them get a commercial in the big game in February. Adam, thanks, man. Appreciate your time. Do it next week.
Guys, have a great Monday. Have a great week. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. There goes Adam Schefter with Armin and Levac, 104.5 The Team. And again, Death Wish Coffee out of Round Lake. Every day, you can go to deathwishcoffee.com/vote. Levac, every day we have the announcement on our staff. Around 11 o'clock, the alarm on my phone goes off, and all I have to do is go, everybody vote for Death Wish!
El's here.
And everybody gets on their computers, on their phones. Every night, I steal my wife's phone, and I vote from her phone. I vote from my home computer. Every device I can get to within 24 hours. We want Death Wish Coffee to become the smallest business in the history of the big game to have a commercial during that game in February. It would be amazing if we could make that happen. deathwishcoffee.com/vote. Be a difference maker today. deathwishcoffee.com/vote.